Welcome back, we're on Cosmic Fury episode 6. This is my breakdown review. Let's kind of talk about this. So we open up on this really nice kind of scene with the Zords flying at night, and they're going off to kind of get rid of scuttleworms because they're testing the engines on the ship after it's been modified so it can fly. Will it work? Who knows? But again, like fighting the scuttleworm, it's just kind of really interesting. It's like, let's go just kind of pick on these worms that we could easily fly out at other parts, but it feels like the scuttleworms are coming towards the ship, which again isn't a thing. It's like you've had one giant one come at one point and now you have a monster version of it. As the ship is doing its preparation for its test flight, the engines are putting out way too much energy and it will probably burn out the entire system, which they don't want. And obviously if they can't move from the planet, they're going to be stuck there forever, which is a bit of a problem, even though we know they're going to get out of it. But so far the system is kind of failing and they need to figure out how to make it better. Solaron wants to go out there and she goes, hey, I need some help. And Fern's like, do you know what? I'll come and help you. But as we see, Izzy always turns around and says, no, don't, you're not allowed to, in case something happens. Now, if a scuttleworm comes out of nowhere, you could easily teleport back into the base. But it just feels, again, like Izzy is like, no, you can't go out there. I forbid this. Like, you've got to kind of just be an indoor cat, which they do reference. Like, you have to be an indoor cat even though you're an outside cat. So it's kind of really frustrating to see Izzy like this all the time. It's not the best thing in the world, but it's part of the story, which is this episode. We get a brand new Megazord, which I feel like it's cool to see, but I feel like they've not earned it, and it's just, here it is, here is a Megazord sequence, you're the only ones to have this, and it just feels like it doesn't fit for some strange, bizarre reason. So I kind of feel like now when seeing all of this, if they just get a Megazord that isn't kind of earned, maybe it's the way that Power Rangers has been over time, is you have to earn this to actually use it, and it's not we have every single Megazord right now. So it just kind of really put me off a tiny bit, but again, this is part of the story. With this, the Rangers take down the scuttleworm and that's it. So they kind of hang about for a bit because a big part is coming up. Previously, Fern wouldn't go out with Solaron because Izzy doesn't like it. So Billy is the one to kind of go out there with Solaron to kind of get the engines ready. So when Billy teleports in, they try to contact Solaron, which doesn't really work whatsoever. And yeah, they have a problem where the comms are down. Now, this is one thing I don't understand, is I think that maybe like Billy should have stayed with her because, again, alien planet, you're a ranger, so you have the power, but I'm guessing it'd be really quiet outside, so you would have heard something, because I don't think like the worms are going to come up and be like, hey, off to this place, we need you now, and she's going to go, okay. You know, I think that would be more of a roar, and we've seen her roar really loudly, so I don't know why like Billy wouldn't have heard her, because she's now being kidnapped. It's just really kind of weird and it doesn't fit in. But again, I'm thinking this is mainly more for the plot of the actual story. Ollie has now entered the system. He is near the planet, scanning it and knowing or trying to find the Rangers. He sends a copy guard to the moon to distract the Rangers, and obviously the copy guard will grow giant because Megazord Fight. We need to use Megazord footage. We're running out of time. We need more Megazord footage. Did I say that we have Megazord footage? We need more Megazord footage. Everyone is back at the base and they're trying to scan for Solaron. Now, Solaron has obviously been captured and they can't find her because she could be anywhere on the planet and they don't have enough time to search the entire planet. Zeto then uses magic, which drains his energy, and he finds Solaron. It's like, yep, she is here, she is in this cave. And he kind of starts getting woozy, and everyone's like, oh my god, like, are you okay? And Harvey's like, oh my god, you're stone cold. It's like, we've got to find Solaron. We've got to find before we leave. We're not leaving her behind. One thing about this is, though, Billy actually comments on this and goes, you're using magic that is morphing master level. And I was like, okay. But it just feels like this would be a standard search spell rather than, hey, we're going to use up thing. Now, if it was literally Solaron got teleported back into the base, then I would be like, damn, that's some high level magic. but it just feels like that would be a basic thing that anyone could do. Even the Mystic Force Rangers could do this. Just after all this happens, Ollie then decides to attack everyone on the planet. Obviously, he doesn't know where the Rangers are. He just bombards the entire planet with energy blasts, hoping that he'll get a lucky shot in to kind of destroy the ship and then everyone would be fine on the bad side. But obviously, this doesn't work. Everyone bar Zeto and Izzy actually go off into the Megazords, and Zeto and Izzy find the cave where the scuttleworms are and they start kind of exploring about it. But they're not in the cave. They actually get ambushed by Ollie and this other monster who hates scuttleworms because his entire crew was taken down by them. Now, I think this is pretty cool because it's really nice. I love the morph sequence. Like, I think it could have been a thing where they could have used the cosmic orbs as weapons. So if they're fighting the Sentinels, if they're fighting the monster and Ollie, they could literally just fire the cosmic orb. It hits a few people and goes straight into the morpher to create a morph scene. But I really like the one that they've done with Zeto as well as Izzy, because it actually feels really cool. It feels a little bit different than the standard, hey, let's stand here and then morph. You know, it's actually, here's an action scene and then morph. So kind of generally really like it. But because of the fact that Ollie gets really annoyed at them, he fires at the cave entrance, which then opens up because when Zeto and Izzy are there, they see that it's been kind of covered up with goo. Again, generally it's a thing where they couldn't just blast it themselves. It's little things like that are kind of really weird in this. We get a Megazord fight with the copy guard and stuff, and Fern is listening into comms. She grabs the morpher and teleports to the cave. Meanwhile, we see that the Rangers are having trouble with the copy guard, and again, it would be a thing to kind of extend it rather than just kind of like, oh, it's over and done with. Now, when Fern teleports into the cave, this is the one thing that I think I have a problem with the entire episode. It's nothing towards Jacqueline, who plays Fern, but I feel like she didn't have any direction, and it's just she's standing there waiting to be told what's going on. Now, she knows that she's got a blaster on the actual device, and one blast will take out a scuttleworm. So at this point, she just shoots one jumps onto her arm, she destroys that. And I feel like you could easily have taken them out quite quickly, because at some point you're going to figure out what the the button is to shoot. I was going to call it shooty button. But when I kind of saw that, I was just like, why isn't she going direction? I think that if she took a little bit of a stance, it would have worked well. It's just like she's standing there. So in the end, she takes down the scuttleworms, and Sauron actually gets attacked and damaged and flung against a wall. And Fern goes and helps her, picks her up, and the energy goes into her, which flows, and she becomes the Orange Ranger, which is the first full Orange Ranger that we've had on the team. I'm not counting Cat or Boom in this one because I made a video on that, go check it out. But I feel like the power is definitely earned. I just feel like this scene could have been a little bit better leading up to her getting her powers. So she gets her powers and she does amazing. She starts fighting, and that's what I generally would have expected when you become a Power Ranger. The Rangers defeat the copy guard. Huzzah! They've finally done it. They figured out how to do it. And then we go back to the planet where we see Izzy and Zeto fighting, but Zeto's still drained. He feels like he's not able to fight, so he's kind of like holding back quite a bit. But the other Rangers join and they all start fighting, and then all of a sudden we see, I think, like a scuttleworm gets flung out, or at least Fern jumps out of the area, which is fantastic. And everyone's like, huh? What the hell? Who is that? And I kind of feel like if they didn't know it was Fern, or if Fern wasn't there and they saw that, I feel like this is one of the parts of the episode where it's like, who's that Ranger? Which flashbacks to Zeto, to any Ranger that kind of joins in, which is standard. I generally think that they should have had that for a bit, and Fern should have been like at the very end, like, hi, it's me, rather than, you know, maybe done that in the next episode. And Fern's like, oh, sorry guys, I was in the toilet all the time. I was helping this. Something like that would have been really, really cool. But obviously for story takes, they need to have her do that to show that she is that Ranger. Now, the fight scene before Fern joins, I think it's fantastic. I really like the fact that the Rangers are fighting, and it's not something that's over and done with really quickly. It's they're taking their time. You know, sometimes like you have the bad guys that will take a while. It feels like the Sentinels are getting higher and higher in like hardness over time, which is fine. I like this. I just like the fact that all the Rangers are fighting together, and it's just random. It's like Cosmic Fury Ranger, Billy. It's Billy. I like it. I think the fight scenes are really worth it in this. So I really like the fact that when they're questioning who Fern is when she's joined, that the bad guy that is with Ollie is there. I generally kind of really like that part. It's some point there is kind of humor in this. But obviously the scuttleworms attack Ollie as well as this other monster. And this other monster doesn't really care about what Ollie's saying. He just wants revenge for his crew. And the Rangers have obviously escaped. They've got everyone ready to leave. So everyone is ready to go. The ship flies off. One thing that really shocks me is the fact that Ollie gets so annoyed that he shoots a hole through a scuttleworm. And you can actually see his helmet on the other side where he's like, I hate this planet, or I hate these scuttleworms. And I was shocked because this is something that we very rarely see, even though it's a monster. I mean, we haven't seen something, for me at least, like a monster being impaled is all the way back in Dino Thunder when Trent actually just throws a monster onto a tree, like onto a branch, impales him. So if there's been anything like that since, please let me know in the comments because I've never seen it in Power Rangers. So I was very kind of shocked on that one. We now see Heckle, and it's been a long time since we've seen Heckle properly in the flesh and stuff. And I think this is kind of cool because he interacts a bit more rather than just a, hi, I'm here. It's more, hey, I've got a master plan to get some information and, you know, I'm going to have to flirt my way through and stuff. And I just generally really like the fact that Heckle is back. Now, the monster's name in this is Zaro or Ozaro or something like that. I probably got it wrong, but again, it's really weird that you don't actually get to kind of see these hear these names quite a lot. It's a very kind of, I had to listen to it a few times to actually hear it because it's done really quickly, and I just feel like it's a really weird name. Because we're in this time of war, you know, Unzaro or Unwizzo, he's actually turning around saying like, where's all the Zedrals? Why is this being left open? And rather than thinking logically and going, oh crap, we need more of them, Squillia's like, oh my god, do you have a crush on me? Ew. And I'm just like, is that a thing? Is that the first thing that you think of is, hey, I'm getting rid of all these people, but when someone questions it, it's like, actually no, that's logical. It's, oh no, you fancy me, what the fuck? Ew. I was just like, why? Like, why would you do? But then Lord Zed comes in and threatens everyone like, as normal, and they're like, oh, okay. We get a bit more of an explanation on why Fern became the Orange Ranger, and she talks to Izzy about what happened. As you know, Izzy would be worried, but then she kind of goes down the whole thing of saying like, yeah, I would do the exact same thing. I would go save her even if I wasn't a ranger. You kind of get a reference back to season 1 of Dino Fury when Fern's like, yeah, well, you know, when we first met, we didn't like each other, and now look at where we are. So I was like, okay, that's a really kind of weird callback to season 1, but I don't know, it seems to work. So yeah, we get this whole kind of explanation. It's fine, but I feel like Izzy could have lent back a little bit and be like, okay, no, I know you can handle yourself, rather than be this really overprotective girlfriend. So we get a final scene where Lord Zed, I think, is treating Ollie like a son. So you get this kind of father-son moment type thing where Ollie says, are you mad at me? And he's like, no, I'm not mad. I'm just disappointed in you. And he starts talking about more of the, like, how to become evil, like, look after yourself. Don't go after anyone else. You know, think of number one. That is your main priority. Zed gives his master plan of using the energy of the Morphing Masters, and Scrozzle was the one who came up with this plan. He is going to absorb the Morphing Masters' energy, and then we get Ollie looking at the Morphing Masters, and that becomes the end of the episode, which again is not a bad episode to me. I feel like this is a decent one, at least. I feel like this is something where you get kind of more of a background. There are problems I've mentioned in this review and breakdown that I probably would have changed. Like I would have had Fern in a stance mode looking alert rather than just standing there doing nothing when she meets Solron. I like the fact that the Rangers are wanting to do more of a plan, like to get off the planet, and it's not just all of a sudden they're in space. And I think one of the bigger parts in this, or three big main parts in this, is one, of Fern becoming the Orange Ranger, 2, Ollie shooting a scuttleworm through the chest and actually seeing it, and Zed and Ollie talking mainly not as like, you know, oh, you are a subordinate of mine. It's actually like a father-son type thing, which again is a generally interesting thing, which I generally kind of really like. It shows that this show is doing so much better, and yet we're not getting any more for almost a year. But yeah, I really kind of really like this episode. I don't think it's one of the stronger ones, but it's nice seeing like really big parts in it that are amazing. But yeah, I am gonna leave it there. What are your thoughts? Have you seen this episode? What did you think? Let me know down below in the comments. I am gonna leave it there. Thank you very much for listening and watching, and I'll catch you in the next video. I want to say a big thank you to all my Patreon supporters, and I wanted to shout out Kimona Cat, Kira Stanada, Micah Baldwin. Your help goes a long way to help support the channel, and if you want to help support the channel, the links to my Patreon and channel memberships are listed below in the description.
あらあら、チャンネルをサポートしてくれてありがとう。チャンネル登録、高評価お願い。以下のリンクから商品を入手することができるよ。